It all started on a regular morning. I was standing on the porch, coffee in hand, slippers on, when I saw an HOA officer pull out a taser and fire it at my wife. Yes, my actual wife. What they didn't know was that she's ex-Special Forces, and her former team was already positioned with laser sights trained on the officer's chest. Lena had seen it all coming. She just let it play out because she doesn't flinch at power-tripping HOA mall cops who think they're tactical geniuses. Me? I flinched hard. One moment we were arguing about whether we had enough charcoal for the weekend barbecue, and the next she was lying flat on the driveway. A guy in a fake sheriff vest screaming into a walkie-talkie as if he were breaching a war zone. We had moved into Green Brier Estates about 6 months earlier. The flea promised peace, security, and family values. What it actually meant was a neighborhood ruled by a militant HOA with delusional authority. All the homes looked alike, hassled in rows with lawns trimmed like military buzz cuts. Heaven help you if you brought out your trash bins even a minute too early. Lena thought it was hilarious. The HOA rulebook was thicker than her old deployment handbook. But she went along for the sake of quiet living, good schools, and no late-night EDM blaring next door. Our first issue. Her matte black military Jeep. She parked it slightly over the driveway line, barely touching the grass. The next morning, we received a violation notice that looked like it came from NORID. I laughed. She didn't. Instead, she scanned the notice and quietly filed it into a folder labeled Green Brier Absurdities. The HOA president, Corinette, yes, that's a real name, ran things like a pastel dictator, clipboard in hand, sweaters on constant rotation, and a permanent scowl whenever she saw Lena. According to her, Lena exuded aggressive energy and masculine intimidation. Lena just smiled, said, "Cool story," and returned to tuning her Jeep. That decision led to weekly inspections and multiple citations for combat vehicle disruption. The real madness kicked off when the HOA formed the so-called Green Brier Civil Enforcement Division. It consisted of 5 guys who looked like rejected mall security guards, dressed in camo pants and black polos with fake badges that read Code Enforcer and Safety Lead. They carried giant flashlights, clipboards, and pepper spray. I once saw one of them executing baton drills in the cul-de-sac as if he were rehearsing for a SWAT audition. Lena observed them with the calm interest of someone who had once negotiated with a cartel leader using only a translator and a wristwatch. She started taking longer walks, asked quiet questions, and ran cables through the attic. When I inquired about what she was doing, she simply said, "Just watching." "They're not ready yet." I didn't press further. When Lena's watching, you let her watch. Meanwhile, these pretend cops grew bolder. They installed cameras on stop signs and fined kids for sidewalk chop drawings. They even issued a citation to an elderly woman for having rebellious garden gnomes. One gnome, with its middle finger raised, was treated like a hate crime. I caught one of these enforcers peeking into our window. Lena didn't scream. Instead, she calmly asked if he wanted to test his pepper spray against someone who'd been tear-gassed 3 times before breakfast. He left quickly. We hosted a 4th of July cookout with burgers, beers, and neighborhood therapy. Lena parked the Jeep right by the HOA sign. Like clockwork, the civil enforcement guys showed up, tactical vests and citation books in hand. One of them had a body cam, narrating as if he were storming a compound. Lena stood silently by the Jeep. They issued a warning, and she said, "You're welcome to try." Then one of them pulled out a taser and fired it. Lena dropped to the ground, and I froze. Red laser darts lit up across their bodies. Her team had them targeted, from the hedges, rooftops, and the alley. The taser officer stopped smiling as Lena opened one eye and quipped, "I always wondered what it would feel like to get stunned by an amateur." She had been documenting everything. The HOA wasn't backing off. They introduced new rules against military vehicles and aggressive displays, clearly aimed at her Jeep. They even renamed their group the Neighborhood Stabilization Task Force. Lena laughed and added the latest violation notice to her now tabbed binder, filled with violations, false citations, invasions of privacy, and my favorite, non-compliant wind chime frequency. She didn't confront them outright. Instead, she took longer jogs, scouting the neighborhood, receiving footage and stories from neighbors. It turned out everyone had been bullied, improper top tension, reflective dog collars, you name it. The HOA's thugs had escalated their harassment, random visits, tape measuring lawns, drones over backyards. Lena kept recording, building her case. Karenette strutted around like royalty, but the neighborhood was boiling. Then came the sidewalk choke incident. Kids had drawn rainbows and icons, and Karenette issued $100 fines to their families. The ensuing HOA meeting was packed. Angry parents shouted and refused to be silenced. Lena sat quietly in the back with her folder. The following morning, we received yet another Jeep citation titled Presence of Warlike Aesthetic. Lena smiled and said, "It's time." That evening, at another barbecue, Lena parked the Jeep directly under the HOA sign, flag in the windshield. The same officer showed up again. One of them read aloud a warning. Lena responded, "Which part, the freedom or the horsepower?" Then, the lead officer pulled out his taser again. This time, Lena stood in front of the Jeep and declared, "You'll have to go through me." He fired the taser, and Lena dropped to the ground again, but this time, it was planned. Red laser dots appeared, and her old team emerged, calmly, professionally. Lena rolled over, removed the wires of the taser, and was handed a folder. "Everything is documented," she announced to the bewildered neighborhood. "Body cams, drones, witnesses, it's all submitted." A man in a suit stepped forward. "Agent Walker, DOJ Office of Civil Enforcement. We've been monitoring Greenbrier since February, and today confirms we have enough to proceed." The taser cop was arrested. Another tried to object, but was reminded that impersonating law enforcement is a felony. Then, Karenette arrived, flanked by board members. Agent Walker told her, "You authorized the task force. You're responsible for their actions." She scoffed and claimed it was a private matter, but Walker replied, "Your charter expired 16 months ago. You've collected $100,000 in illegal fines. That's not private, that's federal." She went pale as Lena handed over more documents, emails, notes, and proof of fraud and overreach. "You're under investigation for fraud, harassment, and potential RICO violations," Walker announced. Karenette was taken away, her pastel cardigan doing little to soften that blow. By nightfall, everything was quiet. Neighbors spoke in hushed tones. Jim, the guy across the street, teared up and thanked Lena. He thought he'd have to sell his Mustang to pay HOA fines. Now, the HOA was finished. A week later, Greenbrier's HOA was dissolved, fines nullified, and the task force disbanded. Lena deleted her files and resumed jogging as if nothing happened. At the next emergency meeting, someone nominated her for HOA president. She accepted with a shrug. Her first act? Shred the rulebook. Her second? Ban citations, fines, and patrols in vests. The community will run on respect, transparency, and trust, she declared. As we left, she turned back to the crowd and added, "Oh, and if anyone sees a clipboard labeled Civil Enforcement Division, toss it in the nearest fire pit." The laughter that followed was genuine. Lena wasn't just my wife. She was a calm storm, the patient undoing of tyranny. When push came to tase her, she didn't just push back, she dismantled the whole system. The moral of the story: power abused invites its own undoing. True strength doesn't thirst for glory, but watches, waits, and acts with precision. Genuine leadership is built on respect, not fear.